Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Which text is it now?
18.
18. Really? The book's open to... Oh, there it is also on 18. Ranam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. Maitreya uvacha sadhu prishtam tvaya sadho lokan sadvi anubnata kirtim vilanvita loke atmano adhok sajatmana Maitreya vacha sadhu prishtam tvaya sadho lokan sadvanu nata kirtim vitan vataloke atmanod akshajatmana Maitreya vacha sadhu prishtam tvaya sadho lokan sadvanu gnata kirtim vitan vataloke atmanod okshajatmana Maitreya vacha sadhu prishtam tvaya sadho lokan sadvanu vinata Kirtim Vitan Vitaloke Atmanodokshajatmanaha
Sadhu Maitreya Vacha
Maitreya Vacha
Sadhu Prishtam Tvaya Sadho
Sadhu Prishtam Tvaya Sadho
Lokan Sadvanu Grinata
Lokan Sadvanugnita
Kirtin Vitan Vataloke
Kirtan Vitan Vitaloke
Atmanodokshajatmanaha
Atmanodakshajatmanaha Maitreya Vacha Sadhu Prishtam Tvaya Sadho Lokan Sadvanugnata Kirtim Vitan Vitaloke Atmanodokshajatmanaha Maitreya Vacha Sadhu Prishtam Tvaya Sadho Lokan Sadvanugrinata Kirtim Vitan Vitaloke Atmanodokshajatmanaha Mataji Maitreya Vacha Sadhu Prishtam Tvaya Sadho Lokan Sadvanugnata Kirtan Vitan Vitaloke Atmanodokshajatmanaha. Okay. Maitreya Uvacha. Maitreya said, Sadhu, all good. Prishtam, I am asked. Tvaya, by you. Sadho, O good one. Lokan, all the people. Sadhu anugnata, showing mercy and goodness. Kirtim, glories. Vitanvata, broadcasting. Loka, in the world. Atmana, of the self. Adhoksaja, the transcendence. Atmana, mind. Shri Maitreya said, O Vidura, all glory unto you. You have inquired from me of the greatest of all goodness, and thus you have shown your mercy both to the world and to me, because your mind is always absorbed in thoughts of transcendence. Report by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Maitreya Muni, who was experienced in the science of transcendence, could understand that Vidura's mind was fully absorbed in transcendence. Adhoksaja means that which transcends the limits of sense perception or sensuous experience. The Lord is transcendental to our sense experience, but He reveals Himself in the sincere devotee because Vidura was always absorbed in thought of the Lord. Maitreya could estimate Vidura's transcendental value. He appreciated the valuable inquiries of Vidura and thus thanked him with great honor. Om Gana Timirandasya Ganan Gana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sajajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam tam sajivam sadvaitam savadutam parijana sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Cha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha Namo Maha Vadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gora Tushe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Okay, thank you for coming. Monday is always the slowest day in the class. Everybody's wiped out. You know, in America, the most heart attacks are on Monday morning. People don't want to face the week, you know. They had their weekend and they're still blown out and spent all their money and anyway, that's the biggest time of heart attack. I just was listening to Prabhupada's morning walk. I recommend everyone to listen to Prabhupada's morning walks. It's really amazing, but this is just a quick thing, just to give an example of Prabhupada's mood.
But you can do everything when you become in Krishna consciousness. That is the advantage. Krishna says, Ahampa Sarupape Bhama Krishna. You cannot get out of sinfulness. But Krishna can do it. Therefore he said, I will get it. It is. He cannot get it. Therefore he says, I will do it. So bringing it to the practical time. Practical means it will be done by Krishna. Your only business is to surrender to Krishna. You cannot do everything. And as soon as you think that I shall be able to do it, then you are rest. Immediately you are rest.
So only a fully surrendered soul can do everything perfectly. A fully surrendered soul is not able to do things perfectly.
He cannot do anything, even in it. Everything will be done by Krishna. But he has to apply his intelligence by Krishna consciousness. Even if he is intelligent, he cannot do it.
Except surrender.
And then he can surrender and Krishna has to do it. He has to act very sincerely under the direction of Krishna, and then reward will be successful. I love glory.
So that's Bhagavad Gita says that the foolish, especially foolish person, thinks I'm the doer, but really everything is being done by the modes of nature. But the modes of nature under the control of Krishna, that's what a devotee realizes. And things are happening by the agency of the modes, but everything's under the control of Krishna. Prabhupada says every little thing we do, we should be praying to Krishna, help me, you know, even ordinary things which we think, you know, no problem, I've been doing this my whole life, but, you know, only by Krishna's grace are we doing anything. That's why it's recommended to take challenges the karmis are saying that all the time now. Get out of your comfort zone, because if we're doing something we haven't done before or something that's very difficult, we have to beg for Krishna's mercy to do it. But gradually we find, I think Maharaj was talking the other day about japa, right? Chanting. That's the most difficult. Seems simple, how 3 words, Hare Krishna, but concentrate the mind, fully attentive, not distracted by anything. How long do we have to chant? Even if we examine how many things are coming up, and we're not completely purified. So we can try to surrender to Krishna. Fortunately, Lord Chaitanya is very merciful. Prabhupada said Krishna didn't mention surrender until the end of the Bhagavad Gita because he was afraid that people wouldn't want to hear the rest of it. So he talks about jnana and karma and all these things, and siddha and yoga. But interspersed in there is something like surrender. If you really understand it, it is surrender. But then finally it's sarva dharma parityajya, but I'll protect you. Don't worry. Because sometimes people will think, well, if I surrender to Krishna, what about my dharmic duties? What about my varnashram duties? When he says sarva dharma parityajya, it means mostly dharma in Vedic culture. Demigod pujas and worship. You give it up. You don't have to do that. It's not that you just give up your work and your family and your responsibilities. But we don't have to worship the demigods. I was thinking yesterday how, we need help to speak. Even scientifically, the process of speaking is like a really amazing thing. All the things that have to go on inside your body so that sounds will come out clearly, and what to speak of, thinking of, something, and speaking coherently. And Krishna is the best speaker. He spoke Bhagavad Gita. So if we depend on Krishna, he can use us. So we see devotees like Pangam Layate Garim. Even a dumb man can speak eloquently. So we see devotees, very new devotees going out and convincing people to take books, give donations to something you never heard of. They have no idea what it's all about, but somehow the devotees' sound vibration gets through to them, right? It's quite an amazing thing. And then gradually we get more and more realization that, we have to surrender. Lord Chaitanya, he said right off, Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam. But he accepts that if we're chanting as surrender. If we take up the chanting, Prabhupada accepted. If someone takes up the chanting and follows the regular principles, then they're surrendered, of course, and from that, much more surrender will have to come. But it will automatically come if we're chanting in the right mood. Prabhupada we heard this, you can't do anything, only Krishna does it. Even a fully realized soul, he can't do anything. Because the devotee was referring to Prabhupada, well, you do things perfectly. But no, I can't do anything. Krishna's doing it. But Prabhupada let Krishna do it. He didn't get in the way. I heard Harinamananda Prabhu, the famous book distributor, the day he did 900 books in one day. Still the record, and big books. And he was at a very slow post office somewhere in the countryside. And at first he thought, I better go somewhere else, there's nobody around here. Then he thought, well, I came a long ways and it's too much trouble, so he stayed there. And he said he was thinking, Vyasadeva wrote these books, and then it's handed down by so many acharyas, and then what to speak of Prabhupada giving us, all these purports, and all the devotees translating, and all the devotees working on the production, and here I am, I don't want to be the one to block the flow, So please, Krishna, let me, use me, let me be a transparent medium. It's an attitude, and it worked, obviously. So we can try to learn. Mind always thinks that I can do this, I don't need help, But intelligently we can realize, no, we have to surrender. We have to give it up. Surrender means we let Krishna do it. Christians have a saying, I saw it on the wall of a church once in Singapore, let go and let God. Another week they had a sign up that said, melt me, use me, melt me, mold me, use me. Like you make a statue or a tool or something. In other words, God, use me, change me, make me into something that is useful. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Please engage me in your service. With a service attitude. This is what, Prabhupada, I speaking once about attitude, I looked it up, and just the word attitude is in the database like 4,000 times or something. But the service attitude is many hundreds of times. And then that didn't include the attitude of service and different ways that he states it. And he wrote many letters. Thank you very much. By your service attitude, Krishna will be pleased with you and you will make so much advancement. You want to serve? Yes, sir. As if in military discipline. Indra Maharaj was in the Marine Corps, U.S. Marines. I don't know if you know about them. They had to say, yes, sir, sir. Yes, sir, sir. Whatever they ask you. They will do things like one sergeant, sergeant will come and say, dig a ditch over there, 6 feet by 3 feet, deep. And so the guy's digging and digging and digging, and then another one, what are you doing? Why are you digging that, you stupid? And fill it up, and he has to, yes, sir, yes, sir. He can't say, no, somebody told me, you have to just do what they tell you. The next one will come back, and they're testing, they're gonna, you're surrendered, You're gonna just do whatever you're told by authority. So Prabhupada has given us, everything over and over again in his books. And I always listen to different younger devotees, but they've been devotees a long time. But nowadays, when almost everybody's grihastha, not so many live in the ashram. Or maybe they lived in the ashram for, a short time, but maybe they were going to school at the same time. It wasn't like they were totally dependent on the ashram. Their parents are giving them money, sending them money regularly. They have credit cards. And it's not like when we joined the ashram, right? Chandramali was interviewed yesterday, Chandramali Swami, about New Vrindavan, the early days. And somebody said they heard screaming a lot, in the early morning, and they wondered, they found it was coming from the bathhouse, because it wasn't a bathhouse. You were there, right?
No, I wasn't.
And they went down the hill, and you had to crack the ice on the creek, and then take your bath. It's outside, the wind blowing, quite cold. It just automatically, but you don't fall asleep after that, when you go to Artik and Japa, because it really wakes you up. It's actually very healthy. And for many of us, those cold showers and that's what, saved our nervous system after the intense sense gratification we were engaged in before we surrendered. Or at least we joined, so that cold shower and lots of sweets, you know, to keep you going. I remember somebody came once from LA and said, we convinced Karandar to put hot water in the shower. And I thought, oh God, they're really in Maya now. They're finished. You know? It's a terrible thing. But the cold water that we have here wasn't exactly what Prabhupada meant. In Chicago, the water was coming out from under the ice in the lake, you know, that was just down the road from the temple. It's pretty cold. Couldn't feel your fingers, your feet when you came out, you know. So, but devotees were happy doing it because of kirtan and their service, the mood. So that's what we want. But what the questions I hear, it's obviously, you know, somebody said this, I heard this from some devotee, and they don't know because they haven't read the book sufficiently. You know, I tell people, you should always ask somebody, well, where is that in the book? Prabhupada always said, like a lawyer, he quotes law books, you know, such and such a case, this decision was made, you know, and this is how this case is the same, and things like that. So when you hear, you know, different things that don't sound right, or even if you're not sure, you know, where is that in the book? And I heard it somewhere. Somebody said. I heard it somewhere. Sometimes they say they heard it in a class. But, you know, we want to see what's in the book. And these questions, this is also mentioned many times in the book, that these questions are worthy because they're good for everyone, because they're about Krishna. It's not an exact quote from the very beginning, when the sages are asked their 6 questions and then Sukadeva is answering their questions, because they're about Krishna. When you inquire about Krishna, it's good for the whole universe, it's good for everybody. So we're very happy when somebody, you know, asks us something about Krishna. Not just, you know, mundane things. The world is a completely crazy place, certified by Krishna, Dukalayam Shasvatam, and everybody's always thinking now is more crazy than ever. And now it definitely seems like that. But if you go and get the newspaper from 50 years ago, you'll see it's just as crazy. And even more crazy, like World War II, you know, that was really crazy. The whole world bombing each other everywhere. And, I remember when I was in high school, they would show live Vietnam on the news. Remember that? And it wasn't like the movies about the war, you know, with the nice music, the exciting music in the back, and beautiful actors. You know, it just was sickening, you know, and the guy getting shot and everybody trying to carry him into the helicopter and bombs going off everywhere. You know, this madness is going on everywhere. And there's so much more crazy things going on, but because it's in, you know, so-called less important countries, it doesn't get on the big media. There's always demons, get very rich, take control, have power, influence. But it's all under the Durga, Shisti Stiti Pralaya Sadhana Shaktirika. So Maitreya was experienced. He's a disciple of Vyasadeva. He's very learned, but he wasn't quite a pure devotee. But he had all this knowledge. So he was asked to speak to Vidura because he was older than Vidura in the etiquette. And probably by speaking to Vidura what he heard from Krishna. At the end of his life, he probably became a pure devotee. But so Vidura was fully absorbed in transcendence. Vidura is Yamaraj. And under the pretense of being cursed by Mundak Muni to become a Shudra, come to earth. But Prabhupada says actually it was a holiday for him because he's an overworked demigod. The same people keep coming back again and again for judgment. The same souls, they go and they don't get reformed and they sin again and they come back. And he has no rest. In Buddhism, they have a lot of knowledge of that. In Singapore, there's a museum. The tiger balm people made. And they're trying to teach young people, to be good. So they have this, you enter the different caves, and they show the different hells. It's just like the pictures in the Bhagavatam. Somebody did this sin and they're getting their, some kind of animals ripping out their intestines, and somebody's, they're being tortured in so many different ways. And then there's a judgment, but they have many different judges, and then finally there's a final judge, and then there's somebody that tells them what body they're going to get next. It's the same Bhagavatam story. The hell is to prepare you for your next body because, you don't want to. We're attached to the human body and we think, you have to become a pig or something. No. Of course, now people are so foolish, they think, well, I'd like to be a dog. There's a few times where somebody challenged Prabhupada, what's wrong with becoming a dog? Prabhupada said, yeah, you have my blessing. One guy was telling me that once. I said, okay, get down on your hands and knees and I'll put a chain around your neck, Oh, no, I don't. But not every dog is living in a luxury, like some dogs. If you walked down the street here, there's a dog babysitting place. And people leave their dog and they take care of it and take it for a walk and give it its gourmet food and everything. $25 for a couple hours or something. So there's a lot of those around. Dog hotel. If you're going on a holiday and you have to pay $100 a day also for the dog in some hotel. Dog restaurants. So people want to serve, but they don't want to serve Krishna. So Krishna has many names, Adhoksaja, beyond sense perception. He's transcendental to our sensual experience, but he reveals himself to the sincere devotee. Naham prakasa sarvasya yogamaya samavrita mudo yam nabijananti loko yam yajamavite. I'm not revealed to everyone, to the foolish and unintelligent. I'm covered by my yogamaya. They can't see Krishna. But he's right there. He's everywhere. Prabhupada, he gave so many different answers when people said, have you seen God? One time he said, yes, but you're blocking my view. He said, everyone has seen Krishna. Rasoham apsakonteya prabhasmi sasi sudaya. Everyone has tasted water. Everyone has seen the sun and the moon. But they don't know that's Krishna. Many different things. Somebody, he said he's in your heart. And then the person said, is he standing up or sitting down? Prabhupada said, he's sitting down. So, Prabhupada had authority that we don't find like just anybody can have. It's not book learning. Prabhupada posed for that picture of Lord Nrsimhadev, ripping. He posed for many pictures. He posed for the deity of Radharani in Vrindavan. you know, how to hold the hands, the whole thing. Artists ask many questions, and they said, how does Krishna wear his dhoti in Vrindavan? Prabhupada said, bring me a dhoti, and he put it on. He said, like this. That's not in the book, you know. It's just tuned in. Anything he needed to know, he somehow would know it. I mean, we don't have a record of Prabhupada studying American law, right? But when the devotees got cheated in New York with the... Prabhupada came back, the lawyers said it's impossible, they threw it away, you know, they just gave the money without any papers. So, very hard to... Prabhupada told the lawyer step by step what to do, and he won. Same thing in Bombay. Devotees signed away the land twice. Prabhupada had to tell the lawyers what to do. They said that you can't win, give up. Prabhupada, he wouldn't give up, but Krishna guided him. Construction, whatever he needed to know, he just knew it. And he also knew the scriptures, because he studied. But he didn't get in the way to let Krishna do things. There's an example like the animals, they call it instinct. So how does a butterfly fly from Canada to Mexico? How do they navigate? Right? These butterflies, those big yellow and black ones, monarch. In the summer they live in Canada and they mate. And all the next generation, the old generation all dies. And the next generation flies to Mexico every year. And it's the same place. And the same thing, there they mate and they all die and the next generation flies back to Canada. So they call it instinct. It's the super soul guiding them. But the humans, we have a mind that says, no, I can do it myself. I have intelligence. I'm this, that. I know. And then we can't do things so nicely. If someone's fully surrendered, then they let Krishna, they depend on Krishna for everything. Prabhupada said, I wanted artists, Krishna sent artists. I wanted this, Krishna said. I wanted it. He said, I didn't do anything. I just wanted things and Krishna did it. So that we can pray that we can do that. And then we attract more and more people to come and try to serve Krishna. We want to engage everyone in service. Everybody's heard of Jayananda Prabhu, you know, in the early days. He made a lot of devotees. Anyone came, in those days a lot of hippies just walked in. No matter who it was, he would just get all excited and say, oh, can you please help me? Can you help me? And whatever he was doing, he'd help me. Okay, everybody likes to help somebody, you know, feel important. That's how Jayapataka Maharaj joined. Just told him to hold a nail, you know, and then he said, see if you can hammer. He said, okay, hammer all these nails, put this together, and left it. Can you help me? You know, not how can I help you? Please help me. Become part of the group right away. So that's our real business. We want to engage everybody, help us. We need help. Like Lord Chaitanya said, that there's so many fruits of love of Godhead, I can't distribute them all myself. I order every man and woman in this universe to help me distribute this mercy. So please, help me. All right, any comment, question? Today is also yesterday, this Bhishma Panchak. Did you ever hear of that in Prabhupada's time? No, it came up much later. It is such a thing, but there's all kinds of different ideas about it. But like anything, Kartik, for many people, starts on Ekadasi, so it's over. You can start on full moon or Ekadasi, of your choice. So there's 5 extra days. But whatever it is, it's that we can engage more service and more hearing and chanting, whether it's some kind of fasting. That's all right. It's good for health. It's good as long as we're fasting in a humble state of mind. But the main thing is whatever time we want to chant the holy name more, we want to distribute the holy name more, we want to distribute more books, more prasadam, bring more people to the temple. So we take advantage, like Thanksgiving, we have a feast. A lot of people come to temples. Especially now there's more and more vegetarian. All right, any comment? Yes, sir.
Maharaj, how do we know what if Krishna wants us to do anything and if we are following the right path or not?
How do we know?
If Krishna is, if he's telling us to do something, how do we know if we're doing it or not doing it?
That's a good question. Well, if you get enthusiastic about it and you try to do it, I guess that's all I can say. Success or failure, if we're attached to that, then then we might be in the wrong mood. But we know the basic things, what Krishna wants us to do: chant the holy name, follow the regulated principles, and work, within some kind of structure. But when someone gets a little advanced, they may have a lot of independence. So then we have to think, so the whole thing, surrender, accept things favorable to Krishna's service, rejects things unfavorable. It's a constant challenge, right? How do we know if we're eating too much and we're going to be wiped out the rest of the day? Even Prabhupada said, every time I eat, I'm afraid I'm going to eat too much and get sick. But so he was always depending on Krishna, praying to Krishna to guide him. Several times devotees found Prabhupada intensely praying with his deity. And they asked him, and he said, I'm praying that I won't fall, Krishna will not let me fall down. And they asked, well, Prabhupada, you're a pure devotee, you can't fall down. He said, that's why I don't fall down, he said, because I'm always praying to Krishna to help me. Maharaj, you want to say something on that? I'm always, myself, when I distribute books, I'm quite sure that this is right. If I'm trying to chant japa, going to Mangalarti. Whether I have the right attitude or not, my consciousness is right, at least the activity is right.
I would say in the beginning that generally the best course of action is to follow direction of more advanced devotees. But as you get further into devotional service, then there's the opportunity to try to use your creativity for Krishna in some way. Try to figure out some way to increase Krishna consciousness. Some people come to that stage much earlier. They have a sense of how to spread Krishna consciousness. Others maybe not so much, So in the beginning, you can learn, and then as you get more progressed in Krishna consciousness, then you can figure some way to reach out. And I think all of us need to use our creativity in some way in Krishna consciousness. It's not just we go through the motions or do things in a stereotypic way. We're whole people. We have all kinds of resources at our disposal. And need to utilize those in some way to give Krishna to others. Again, like Kavicandra Swami was saying, weed out our own material ambitions or do things just, that tendency to do things just to make a splash or to amaze others or to, become, love of puja and petition to be in some way, adored, worshipped, or set apart. We have to give up those tendencies. But in general, that's how I would respond to that question.
Sounds good. Anyone else? Comments, questions? Yes, sir.
But in the lecture you said Krishna does everything, and so how to retain that mode? Because in the 18th chapter Gita, Krishna says,
You have to speak, very clearly. And Jayapataka Maharaj said, my teacher told me to enunciate very clearly.
so 18th chapter Gita says, you need to, from your side, do 4 things, then Paramatma sanction. So if everything Krishna, are my endeavor. But Damodar Lila says, my endeavor, Krishna's mercy. My endeavor and Krishna's mercy.
I'm sorry, but I'm not catching the words at all.
Yeah, I can't follow your question.
Yeah. I can understand you without this speaker, like,
My question, Maharaj,
yeah.
you said Krishna does everything.
No, Prabhupada said it.
I mean,
Yeah.
so my question to you is, Damodar Lila, 2 inches short, right? 1 inch is my endeavor, another inch is Krishna's mercy. So what should be my mood when I work to get the results? You said in the lecture, I wanted this, Prabhupada said, I wanted this, Krishna gave me, I wanted this, then Krishna sent people. So what should be my mood when I do things?
Yeah, no, I understand.
Service attitude. This is for Krishna. Aham Krishnaya, aham namama. Right?
What is it?
They say in the yagya, aham Krishnaya, aham namama. This is for Krishna, this is not for me. I'm trying to give this to Krishna, I'm trying to please Krishna. Not for me. That's, it's, I'm not saying that I'm very good at that, but that's what we're trying for. Chanting, whatever we're doing. And then we have to concentrate on what we're doing, and do it. So we're not that, I don't think Arjuna was just Prabhupada said Arjuna wasn't chanting his japa on the battlefield, He was concentrating. And all the arrows coming at him and, how to counteract them. So whatever, if you're like driving a car, we have to be concentrating on what we're doing. Otherwise it's very dangerous. So whatever we're doing, cooking, we concentrate on that, but we're offering that to Krishna. When we do it right, get the details right. Many things, but if we really depend on Krishna, that would make everything ideal.
Yeah, I would say something similar that basically we're always thinking of Krishna. We're trying to do things for Krishna. We're trying as hard as we can. And if those 2 things are there, then Krishna does whatever we can't do to make the situation we go as far as we can, and Krishna takes it the rest of the way. Generally, I see that's how, it happens. But of course, I think it's funny that you're asking the question. You should be telling us how you do it, because
Yes.
you've done it.
Right. That's how, like Parikshit knew everything.
What's that?
Parikshit knew everything, obviously, because the questions he asked are about things nobody knows, But he wanted Sukadev to speak all those things
Right.
for the
He's asking for our benefit.
because he relished it also, but also because that's necessary. So, like some things, and you read later in the Bhagavatam, you wonder, why is this here, But if you go back to the questions of Parikshit, it's answers to all he had so many questions. Please explain in detail all the planets and all this and all the different things and, all these things. So that's why it's all there, because Krishna wants that, so that to educate everybody. Yeah, so we just pray, and if other devotees are a little bit pleased with our endeavor, success is not, in numbers all the time. I said that in one, there's one Christian guy that is like a consultant for churches. He goes and tells them what they're doing wrong and what they're doing right. And he says that your success in the Sunday is not how much money you collect or how many people come or anything like that. It's how many people feel the presence of God, In Lagos, near the temple, there's a lot of churches, and there's big signboards there. And one said, "Come to our church and feel the presence of God." I felt like I want to go there, Because I kept telling the devotees, you have a sign that says morning program, evening program, sounds like a computer school or something, That doesn't attract anybody. These Christians come up with these amazing titles for their activities, and they're dealing with everything. So, and then we were talking to a lot of these younger devotees, but many of them have been devotees their whole life, and they have these really incredible preaching projects. And what some GBC had said, there has to be some tangible result. They didn't like that. They said, you don't know when the result's going to come. And somebody comes to your kirtan, and it may be 20, 30 years before it seems to have an effect on it. So how can you measure? And that becomes very tricky for us, because Prabhupada always asks, how many books, how much money, how far, when is the temple going to be finished, when is this construction going to be ready? But Prabhupada had a whole nother, one devotee was telling, Prabhupada came to LA and it was very crowded, so many devotees, and he wasn't able to go to the airport. He had to clean it. So when the devotees came, it was a big mob all around Prabhupada. So he was just standing right in front of the altar. And when he was kneeling down, and when Prabhupada came, Prabhupada was right next to him. And he said, Prabhupada came in front of Radha and Krishna and said, so I see they're dressing you very nicely. And then he listened for a while, and then Prabhupada asked, are they cooking nicely? And then he listened for, and Prabhupada was asking the deity questions. And then when Prabhupada spoke, he said, so I see the cooking here is very nice. But he had just got there. But Krishna told him, yes, they're taking very good care of me. This devotee didn't hear Krishna, but he heard Prabhupada asking it. So we can't be like that, but please pray for me. We need help. One big Christian preacher, mega church guy, he has a team when he's giving a Sunday sermon of people praying that he can speak nicely. And the whole time he's giving his class. So he has some understanding, not independent. So depending on Krishna, we hear it, and it's not, such a simple thing. It's simple but not easy. That's the surrender to Krishna is not complicated, but it's not so easy because that false ego is always trying to pull us back. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. And Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. How many books they packed up so quick now? In Atlanta, they're buying a machine because